Hi everybody, it's great to be back here again on Itamar. It's Friday, Parashat Vayeshev, Hanukkah is around the corner, and let's get down to our Torah lesson. In 1965, a great discovery was made by archaeologists. They discovered a synagogue from the year 300, about 150 years after the rebellion of Bar Kokhba, in Eyn Gedi, the Eyn Gedi Reserve area. We're all familiar with that, those who've been in Israel, near the Dead Sea. And what was fascinating about the synagogue was its inscription in Aramaic. And it said, brothers should not, anyone who causes a conflict between brothers, or steals the vessels of a brother, or gossips, by gossiping also to the nations about the brothers, or reveals the secrets of the city, will be, God will punish them, by wiping them out under the heavens. So this basically was an Aramaic, an inscription on the floor of the synagogue found in Eyn Gedi from the year 300. And the question is, it's not an everyday happening where there's a curse on the floor of a synagogue. Here was a beautiful mosaic. This mosaic, by the way, you can actually go to Rockefeller Museum in Jerusalem and see the mosaic of that discovery. But why was this curse on the floor? And the answer is related to this week's portion. If we go to chapter 37, verse number 34 and 35, where it discusses Joseph. And I'll read the verses. They took Joseph, they threw him in the pit was empty, there was no water in it. And then they were sitting down to have bread. They lifted up their eyes and they see a convoy of Ishmaelites coming from Gilad. And they were carrying camels, carrying perfume of balsam and lotus to bring down to Egypt. Now, understanding what this balsam was, is really exactly what we're talking about. The spice, tsori, called in Hebrew, is one of the spices of the incense in the temple. It's also mentioned in Isaiah chapter 8, verse 22. Isaiah says, is there no balsam in Gilad, in Gilead? Where there's no doctor. He's talking about, of course, a metaphor of Israel sitting. They weren't turning to the remedies of the prophets. And mentioning the word tsori, which is balsam, bringing the balsam down. But in order to define this, what exactly it was, there are, in Israel, Baruch Hashem, we say thank God, there are tremendous investigators that are trying to always research and recognize the different plants and animals mentioned in the Bible itself. And here, one of the great investigators, Yehuda Felix, brings down in his book and describes exactly what the balsam was. And he says, and I'll actually read you the scientific name of how he defines it. He calls it Commiphora giladensis, Gilad from giladensis, known as alfalsamon, right? Known as alfalsamon in Hebrew, but alfalsamon, we're not talking about the fruit, that orange fruit called that you buy in alfalsamon, which people make a mistake of calling that fruit alfalsamon. What's it called? Persimmon or something like that. It's persimmon, I think, in English. And that's not the alfalsamon talking about here. We're talking about a tree, which was, a tree, which was called Commiphora giladensis, he says. And this tree was used to extract a very, very special oil, which was a special fragrance, was used for the incense. And this is what, getting back to, we're talking about that ancient synagogue in Eyn Gedi, was that they had the secrets. In that town is where they raised the secrets of that particular incense. They knew how to extract it. And it requires it. If you look historically and research the thing, it requires a tremendous amount, number one, of knowledge, how to raise the plants properly. And then the proper time to extract the sap that has that very, very unique fragrance that is used for perfume. And it was worth a lot of money. We know that Cleopatra, she convinced Mark Antony, right? He was chasing after her. And she had a romance with Mark Antony. And she told him she wants the taxes he was collecting from the Jews, from Israel, from the city of Eyn Gedi. She wants the alfalsamon. In other words, she wants the tsori. She wants the Commiphora giladensis. She wants that plant extract because it was so valuable. And she convinced them, when you collect in taxes, give it to us. So one of the archaeologists that researched this whole area comes to the conclusion that this is the meaning of the mosaic. When they came and they said, cursing anyone who reveals something to the Romans, they meant to the Romans then, revealing the secrets of how to make this particular, extract this and grow these plants. And they were collected in kunchiot, which are, they took shells, these beautiful seashells, and they used them as little flasks, and they were able to they would make an incision into the plant, and they would put some palm branches and take out just a little minute amount each time. We're able to extract from the branch and get a hold of this balsam, get a hold of the tsori. And that's what made it so valuable. And they were worried, therefore, they were cursing anyone who would steal those flasks and try to, give them to the Romans, bribe, who knows what reasons why they would do so. But the most important thing wasn't to reveal the secrets of how to make this, because this was a great industry for the Jewish people at that time, which began, way before, and we see how way before. We see it's fascinating here, getting back to our portion, where, Jacob, first of all, Joseph being sold, they see this convoy of Ishmaelim carrying these special items from Israel. But also later on in chapter 33, verse number 11, we're going to read about it next week, where Jacob is sending down special things from the land to Egypt, right? Because don't forget, Joseph now is down there and they have to get food, and Benjamin was taken. So they're sending down presents, and they bring part of those presents were the lot, we call it, the balsam, which was this particular plant we're talking about. So we see it was way back then, it grew here in the land, and was used as a very special thing for years. Unfortunately, the secrets of how to make this and extract this plant disappeared in about the year 600, the time of the Muslims came around. But fascinating, in the year 2008, I think, in a kibbutz called Kibbutz Almog, which is in this northern part of the Dead Sea, they were able to began to cultivate some of these ancient plants of the Bible, and they cultivate the tsori, this plant. This plant was again revived, and someone today can actually go there, and they sell these things. They can purchase a flask of this liquid, of this special oil, and they're doing all kinds of experiments. It took them 7 years, I think. They were investigating how to extract it. It's really fascinating. But it shows that there are it was very, very special, secretive ways and of how to produce this whole kind of thing. And I'd like to bring down a beautiful Rashi. If we think about it, getting back to the portion itself, Rashi says something like this, and I'll try to quickly read the words of Rashi. Rashi says, Lama pilsema katuvet masam. Rashi says, why did the Torah see fit to reveal what they were carrying, this convoy of the Ishmaelites? Why do you have to tell us what they're carrying? And he says, Lodiyam matan scharan shel tzadikim. He says, to show the reward of the righteous. She'ein darkan shel aravim laseit el haneft. Usually, what are the Arabs in those times, the Ishmaelim, what would they carry? They would carry neft. Neft is like tar, pitch. They would do that by distilling, organic matter, and they would make this black pitch out of it in those days, which had a terrible smell, and that was one of the big industries then. So usually, what are they carrying? They're carrying things that have a terrible smell. But here, Joseph was being sold. God did a great thing, and a convoy that came by wasn't a convoy that was selling what they usually sell, but they were selling things from Israel. The beautiful secret, we said, that beautiful plant, which is called the tsori, in the language of the Mishnah. And that's what they were selling. So they had a beautiful fragrance. So Joseph, when he had to go all the way down to Egypt, he didn't have to suffer with a bad smell. Also, the Amek Davar, the Netziv of Elazar, has another beautiful explanation. The fact that they were carrying these small jugs of perfume, they had room for him to sit on the saddle instead of him being dragged down to Egypt, which he would have really broken in completely. Usually slaves, they make them walk, and here he was able to go on the saddle. But whatever it is, we see how God has mercy, even in the times of going down to Egypt, terrible times of a sign of exile, Joseph being brought down to Egypt, Hashem is showing his grace to Joseph that he doesn't have to go down with a bad smell, that he's showing him, he's lightening up his day. And I think this connects so beautifully to Hanukkah. Hanukkah we're going to, be celebrating next week, God willing, and we know that the whole story of Hanukkah is that when things look so bad, all of a sudden the light comes, and the beautiful light of Hanukkah is the darkest time of the year, in the winter time, and everything is so dark and gray, and Hashem lights up our day. And that's exactly here with Joseph. There's a hint to Hanukkah that he's going down to Egypt, but God is showing him that you're going to go down with perfume. You're going down with beautiful, beautiful fragrance, because you're going to be the one who's going to come out of that situation and be the one who's going to provide for your entire family of Israel. And that was a hint right away, God showing him. And we have to, in this world, we have difficult things happen to us. We always got to look at how God lightens our burden and makes things much easier than they could have been. And we always have to look for those sides, where in our lifetime, instead of focusing on the darkness, focus on the light that God shines to us even in the darkest times. Well, anyway, take this message home with you for Shabbat. Have a beautiful Shabbat and a beautiful Chanukah. Shabbat Shalom, the Chanukah Sameach.